Hello everyone, welcome to another great adventure over here on RJB Wildlife. On this adventure, we are here at the San Diego Zoo where I'm going to be giving you the State of the Zoo update. So if you're ready for another great adventure, let's go. So I want to start this update off with a little bit of housekeeping news, as when you enter the zoo, maps are no longer going to be readily available. They are starting to do this slow phase out of the printed maps and a full-on transition to the digital app, which is a fairly easy app to use, and it's very convenient because it can give you a lot of dining options as well as all of the menus for the restaurants here, and gives you updates as to what animals are and off habitat at any given time. But to go along with that, up here in the entrance, there is a little bit of a construction zone that is right by where the media outlet was, where you would see a lot of news groups if you came here early in the morning, but also where a drop-off point was. So hopefully this can get resolved over time, but it doesn't seem like they're doing anything crazy construction-wise. We are now over here in Wildlife Explorers Basecamp, and there's a couple little minor updates. First one I want to bring up is on the lower level of Cool Critters, as both of the lungfish habitats have been empty for some time. The one on the right, or closest to the exit to the Marsh Meadows pool areas, is now going to house the green anaconda and green-crested basilisk that were a part of the reptile house recently. And in the rainforest habitats that usually house some of the zoo's ambassador animals, on the far left one, you're going to have now a spiny prehensile-tailed porcupine that used to house a binturong and most recently a caracal. So we're over here in Reptile Walk, and there's a couple little updates, starting off with the Komodo dragons, as now we are down to one male here at this facility. The older female died of old age recently, so we do just have the one Komodo dragon. As far as the reptile house is concerned, there have been a couple additions to that area. We already covered that the green anaconda and the green-crested basilisk have all made it over to Wildlife Explorers Basecamp. It does appear that that habitat's being worked on. However, the reptile house did see the additions of annulated boas and a western diamondback rattlesnake to go along with the eastern diamondback and the timber rattler. So we are now over here in Lost Forest, and there's a couple things I want to run down before we get to a major update that I just found out today. But Labu, the male orangutan, he is getting well accustomed to the new habitat here. In fact, a little too accustomed, because every morning he's been spending a lot of intimate time with Karen, one of the females here, and they happen to be right in front of the glass in the middle of it. So if you're a family with small kids, I would steer clear of the orangutan area early in the morning. There was also a new baby DeBrazos monkey that was born in monkey trails, I want to say about a month ago, and he's been spending a lot of time on habitat. So another development here in Lost Forest is that the crowned eagles have moved over to Eagle Trail in the meantime, while their habitat gets a new refresh renovation. By all accounts and signs, this is a temporary relocation, so I don't expect the crowned eagles to be in Eagle Trail full-time. When this is done, they should be making their way back over across from the bonobos. So there's a major update here in Gorilla Tropics, as both Paul Don and Jessica are being crate trained in preparation for their arrival to the safari park. This is a major development, as the silverback absence at the safari park has been going on for about a year to this point with the passing of Winston. And it's always been rumored that Paul Don and Jessica would make their way over there. And when it was confirmed that they were compatible with the two younger females, the match was just inevitable and the move was inevitable. This is also a big deal, as it means that the bachelor troupe here of Akuba, Maka, and Denny will have full access for the entire day here at Gorilla Tropics. So we are now up here in Northern Frontier, where there are a couple updates that I want to share with you guys. The minor update up here is that the giant anteaters and Patagonian maras have been off habitat for about a couple months now, and that is due to some habitat maintenance. You can find the giant anteaters and Patagonian maras underneath Skyfari West, which is the Northern Frontier's station for that experience. However, the bulk of the Northern Frontier update that I have for you has everything to do with polar bear plunge. And I actually have a really exciting update for Polar Bear Plunge, as the filtration system is being installed after a lengthy repair that has lasted the last several months. And I'm going to place over some footage right now of the polar bears swimming in clear water to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. And if you watch some of the previous updates that I've had, you can kind of see what it's looked like with the filtration system having been removed. So really exciting update here, but the bulk of Polar Bear Plunge is what we're going to talk about today. As far as I am aware, once the Halloween season is over here at the San Diego Zoo, construction will begin on the refresh and renovation of Polar Bear Plunge, specifically revolving around the educational material that surrounds the main viewing areas. From everything that I've heard, the polar bear structures behind me are going to be safe as far as construction is concerned, but the same cannot be said for the little iceberg cave kids play area. That's going to be gone, and even the aviary is in question. The goal for this refresh is to retheme this entire space into more of an Arctic-themed area with some wildlife that is actually native to the Arctic Circle. And part of that is going to start with the habitat right behind me, as this is going to be the home of a pronghorn antelope that has been off habitat at this facility for years. Now, I know what you're thinking. Pronghorns aren't exactly an Arctic species. However, behind the scenes, you can actually see this animal on the Skyfari, on that little hill as soon as you exit Skyfari West, and even if you're coming towards the polar bears from the front of the zoo. And it seems that they've already started the project over here a little bit early, as they have removed the CO2 emissions graph that was an educational piece at the very back of Polar Bear Plunge. Now, this is an area that was easily overlooked by the public, as the polar bear habitat was the main area, and everything behind this in this little loop kind of got neglected. So there are some off-habitat areas back here, close to where this graph was. We are now over here in Elephant Odyssey, where there's a little bit of a minor update going on, as the rattlesnake habitat is currently under construction, and the snakes and the beaded lizard are off-habitat. From what it appears, this looks like glass replacement, as one of the panes is completely covered in this white mesh covering. So in time, this will be replaced. So we are now over here in Africa Rocks, and there's a couple little updates over here, as the meerkat habitat has completed its renovation, and the meerkats are actually back on habitat, frolicking around as a little family. But the biggest update here in Africa Rocks occurred in the habitat right behind me, as not one, but two Hamadryas baboon babies have been born here in the last month. Now, we made a video detailing the first birth that occurred here, and as of my last trip 2 weeks ago, a second one has actually appeared. So remember when I said the Hamadryas baboons were the biggest piece of news in Africa Rocks? Well, I lied, because, surprise, a honey badger is now on display right across from the red ruffed lemurs. Now, what's amazing about having the honey badger back is that this is an original animal that was a part of this attraction when it first opened back in 2017. And it's been absent due to the zoo's efforts to breeding the endangered fossa. So to have it back is actually a really big surprise, but also a welcome one. So there have been some amazing updates over in Africa Rocks. A couple other little things I want to touch up on are going to be the sister pair of Amur leopards are now on habitat over at Africa Rocks. One of the males was brought over to the Santa Barbara Zoo, so that left a void in that space as they moved one of the males that was over there, Charlie, to the Asian leopards area. So we are now down here in Asian Passage, and there is a major question that is brewing within this certain area. And that all revolves around the future renovation of the San Diego Zoo. Currently, speculation revolves around Bear Canyon and Urban Jungle being the main subjects of this new renovation and overall reimagining of this area that will turn into a major new expansion. And there has been some rumor spread around the zoo as to what this is going to be. And the most recent thing that I've heard is that the entire renovation is going to center around the continent of Asia. However, the details that I have heard revolving around this expansion don't exactly give you the idea of the tropical Asia that you kind of see within Sun Bear Forest. It's more so the Africa Rocks version of Asia, where I can tell you the two featured species that I have heard as part of this attraction going forward will be the sloth bears, and possibly even an expansion of that breeding program, and the snow leopards. But this is going to be a major attraction here and is going to showcase a lot of educational and conservation species that are currently at work here. But there's a little caveat to that. Currently, the zoo, and I should say the Wildlife Alliance at large, just concluded union negotiations with the staff members here, which means now, with the CEO departing months ago, we are now on the search for a new CEO. And that is going to be another hurdle. So everything I just explained to you about this expansion may not happen whatsoever. It all depends on that new CEO's vision for both the San Diego Zoo and the San Diego Zoo Safari Park in order to see where the direction of those parks. We are now over here by Panda Ridge, and there's one other thing I want to point out as far as this being an Asian Passage at the moment, and that would be that time tickets are not readily available anymore. They do pop up every once in a while, especially during busy holiday weekends, but as of recently, when I've come to the parks, or the San Diego Zoo, I should say, they have not been available and they haven't been necessary. So if you look behind me, this is the current line for Panda Ridge. There's nobody here. So really exciting times here, as Panda Ridge is a bit of just a straight walkthrough now, especially when the animals are active. So really cool that we now have gotten to a point where stuff's calmed down. But keep in mind, when it's a busy holiday week or a busy holiday weekend, the time tickets will be available and the lines will be much longer. We are now in Australian Outback, and this place has been kind of quiet over the course of the last few months outside of the koala joeys, but as of right now, a significant thing has changed over there as the brush-tailed bettongs have been taken off habitat. Now, these little marsupials were in one of the Tasmanian devil habitats and even over in the koala habitats as well. But now that both Tasmanian devil habitats are empty, we can expect that here in the near future, some Tasmanian devils should be showing up as we've been awaiting their arrival as they quarantined in Tasmania. Nothing's confirmed, and I'm not reporting anything that the zoo hasn't already stated. There is no timeline, but I would say somewhere in the near future. If you're clearing out habitats, that means you have a plan to move something in there. So that is relevant, especially since those habitats have been filled for the last year. A little bit of a somber update here, as we are still expecting a giraffe calf here at the San Diego Zoo. However, one was born and unfortunately did not make it. It is a hard, sad truth of nature, and it is unfortunate. However, it is not all bad, because we do have one more here and two currently thriving, healthy calves at the safari park. And during this time of year, the nighttime zoo event will be going on here at the San Diego Zoo. This event includes multiple forms of entertainment and some specialty foods and beverages that you will be able to enjoy from May 23rd to August 10th. So if you're visiting in the summer, I highly recommend indulging in the event known as Nighttime Zoo. That's going to do it for today. If you had fun on this journey, please hit the like button. And if you would like to embark on future adventures, please consider subscribing and ringing that notification bell. And until next time, I hope to see you all again on the next adventure on RJB Wildlife.